Thanks for staying with us. The nation and those on the world stage paused this week to view the SpaceX landing in the Bahamas. For the country, it was quite historic and could signal a future path for the tourism industry. In studio to discuss the landing and its impact is the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, the Honorable Chester Cooper. Welcome to What's Trending, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome to have you here. So the SpaceX landing is being dubbed a success. Share with us your thoughts following the historic launch for the Bahamas.
Well, firstly, it was an incredible moment. It began with much anxiety because it's something new for the Bahamas, and we wanted to see it go well, particularly the first landing. We were excited when we realized it was executed without a hitch. But this is truly a great day for the Bahamas, an historic moment, as you said. It's groundbreaking in every way, and we've been able to tap into a new industry that typically a small country like us, only 400,000 people, may not have imagined participating in. We have long talked about tourism and financial services. This creates, I believe, a third pillar. And even in tourism, we now go beyond sun, sand, and sea to what we call space tourism. But this truly is an inspiring moment. It's a proud moment to be a Bahamian. I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to spearhead this initiative. I was able to watch this with people like Ruby Ann Darling and Philip Bethel and of course, Prime Minister Davis, all who have been pioneering leadership and governance in the Bahamas for decades. But also, as I watched, I thought about my own children and the other young children across the country who dreamt of going to the stars or the moon, whatever the case might be, or going to space or being an astronaut. And now they can see it, and they can feel it, and they can know that it's well within their grasp right here in the Bahamas.
And obviously, this event sets the pace for space tourism, as you mentioned a few moments ago. So talk to us about the potential market and the benefits for us.
The aerospace industry is a $1 trillion business by 2045, I believe. It's going to be 10 trillion in terms of overall economic benefit of this industry. For space tourism, it's a $14 billion industry. 1.5 million people visit Cape Canaveral every year in Florida. So I start with those numbers just to let you know the potential, the possibilities, everything imaginable for entrepreneurs. There will be opportunity for people to build around what we're doing in terms of experiences, in terms of paraphernalia, in terms of other creative, innovative opportunities. This really unleashes the mind of all Bahamians to innovate, to be creative, to create opportunities around what we're doing here. And I think it's going to be fantastic for the Bahamas and the Bahamian people.
And obviously, share with us the other possible, well, you touched on those just now in terms of the other merchandising and other efforts that could spin off from this area. Also talk about this as its repositioning for a strategic space-related other activities that could come out of this as well.
Well, we are participating in a very huge industry. As I indicated, the aerospace industry is absolutely huge. There are growing possibilities. In addition to SpaceX, there are other entities operating in this space. Now that we've put in place the legal regulatory framework, the environmental protocols, we are positioned, if we determine to do so, to go full steam in this industry. This is a test case, if you will, a pilot program, if you will, for the first few landings, and then from there we can determine how we proceed. But this particular rocket has landed more than 447 times. They call it an operational vehicle. So whilst it's new to us, it's well established. And therefore, for the Bahamas, it's really us taking the next step in developing this industry for our benefit and the benefit of our people.
And so can you share with us a little bit more on the details of this agreement with SpaceX?
Well, the initial phase is 20 landings over the course of a 12-month period. So that's the first point, each landing requires a special license. We have to agree the location. We want to make sure that it's 10 miles away from any sensitive species or landmass. There have been environmental guidelines put in place. We have an agreement with the FAA to work along with Civil Aviation Department of the Bahamas to help the overall regulations of the event. SpaceX is committed to landing fees, committed to donation to University of the Bahamas for STEM education. They are also committed to internships and participation in STEM with our young people, science, technology, engineering, and math. So there's significant opportunities for the future of our youth who might decide to participate in this business into the future. I think that's the most inspiring part for us.
That's definitely a big part of it, and obviously, as you touched on just now, the environmental impact. Talk to us about the research and efforts that went into mitigating any environmental challenges as we move forward.
As I've noted, we began this process very deliberately almost 2 years ago, and one of the requirements was that there be a certificate of environmental clearance from the Department of the Environmental Planning and Protection, DEP. And that had to be done, that had to be satisfied. So that's in place. We had studies that have been done by Braun, one of the leading environmental engineering agencies here in the Bahamas. That report was released today by the Office of the Prime Minister, so it could be accessed online. I think what we want to assure the Bahamian people is that we didn't enter this lightly. We were very measured and deliberate in our approach. We recognize that there are still some questions and still some concerns. And over the course of the next week or two, we're going to ensure that we respond to every legitimate concern or question that's raised, particularly by environmentalists.
Because I'm sure they're going to be a lot.
No question. I mean, I'm from Exuma. And the Exuma Sound is my home, and clearly
you want to protect that.
I would not wish to do anything to compromise it. So I believe we are all aligned in terms of our national interest, and the government is always resolute in ensuring that any investor, big or small, anyone performing any activities in the Bahamas, comply with our laws, our rules, our guidelines, and protect our overall well-being and our environment.
And you touched on a few moments ago the injections in terms of what's going to happen with the donation to UB and the opportunities for students to come. What do you say to students in terms of now considering their future as it relates to space and all these other opportunities that this now presents?
I say look at Aisha Bow, a young Bahamian whose grandfather is Forrester Bow, coincidentally from Exuma, who's left the Bahamas to participate in the aerospace industry, having studied for years and years. And I watched the excitement on her face as she watched this happening in the Bahamas, a moment that she had been dreaming of all her life. And she's going to space soon as well, I'm told. And then we have other Bahamians coming out of the woodworks who are working abroad, outside of the Bahamas. People like Jason Marie, who went to Xavier's and St. John's and graduated now as a PhD, started a space company. And he is working, living abroad in the United States and contributing to the industry, but in somebody else's country. And then there's Denton Gibson, also working for NASA in Florida. All young Bahamians. Denton happens to have roots in Eleuthera, as does Jason Murray. So the reality is that I'm hopeful that young people who are studying science, technology, engineering, math, etc., who aspire now to get into a career in the sciences can now consider space technology, and it's something real. Growing up, if you heard someone in your class say, I want to be an astronaut, we would usually find it far-fetched and probably a little funny.
Yeah.
But now if our children say, you know, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up, it's real, it's accessible.
Very possible.
And it's in our sight, and it's possible. And I hope that this initiative inspire this generation and the next to seize the opportunities that's being created as a result of this partnership.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Cooper, we will continue our conversation on the other side of the break. We're looking to the future of the #1 industry. Well, you're watching What's Trending. Stay with us.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exuma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is producing work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass that along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
What? You don't know who TDC is? Tourism Development Corporation?
You mean the Ministry of Tourism?
No, that ain't the same thing, but the Tourism Development Corporation helps to develop and grow behemoth businesses in the tourism industry. You heard what they say, boy? Oh, yeah. Develop and grow. You don't know what all the things they do?
What does do?
Hey, check the website, boy.
Start your journey to ownership of our #1 industry today. Log on to tdcbahamas.com.
Diet-friendly special.
We welcome you back to What's Trending as we continue our conversation with the Minister of Tourism. So, Minister, the current state of the country's tourism industry appears to be on an upward trend. How is the ministry pushing to ensure that it remains in that direction?
Firstly, when we talk about tourism, we often talk about numbers. I want to emphasize this business is about people. And we recognize the awesome responsibility we have to hold up the economy and employment and ensure people are earning a living. This is what we do. So all 400 of the Ministry of Tourism employees all around the world recognize the significance of their contribution, and I thank them for doing so. Tourism truly is doing very well. When we look at the numbers, we see that between 2018 and now, we've almost doubled the amount of arrivals to our country. These are people who spend money in shops, in the straw market, with hair braiders and taxi drivers and tour operators. They spend money in restaurants and hotels and sometimes on airlines. We have significantly increased our cruise numbers. We have maintained our stopover numbers, although we've increased them about 3.5% since 2018. And the reality is we are pushing actively for more hotel rooms all across the country so that we can grow that stopover sector as well. But I am still very optimistic, notwithstanding the record-breaking, record-setting growth in 2024 and 2023. I'm optimistic about the future. We are putting in place the strategies, notwithstanding the softening of the market, to continue the growth that we've seen.
So obviously we are ensuring that tourism growth benefits all of the islands, not just New Providence. So how are you tackling that aspect?
Firstly, we market our 16 island destinations in the Bahamas. We have an archipelago, a mini Caribbean within the Caribbean, each with its unique flavor. And we are actively courting airlift into these islands. We're working closely with Mr. Fountain of the Bahamas Out Island Promotion Board all of the stakeholders. We've launched a program called Tourism is Everybody's Business, and that means everybody, not just Nassau, Grand Bahama, but all across the islands of the Bahamas. And we want you to know that we are really promoting the uniqueness of these islands. People coming to New Providence might want casinos and fancy restaurants, but people going to Rum Cay or Crooked Island may want to do fly fishing, or in Andros or in Rollville, Exuma, they may want to stay in an Airbnb and go to a mom and pop shop, for example. All of these are very unique experiences that people talk about all around the world. And I'm proud as a Bahamian when I travel anywhere in the world that the brand of the Bahamas is extremely strong and everyone wants to come back with me in my suitcase. So this is truly refreshing. I thank the professionals past and present and all of our stakeholders for continuing to build on this brand called the Islands of the Bahamas. It truly is manifesting itself into an industry that has really caused the improvement in the overall standard and quality of life of Bahamians.
So how is the government working with private investors to enhance tourism infrastructure that we see at the airports or marinas?
Firstly, in our Family Island Renaissance program, we are revitalizing 14 of our airports. We knew that was an ambitious undertaking, but we didn't want to nip around the edges. We wanted to do big transformative things. So Bimini is actively underway. Georgetown is starting soon. Black Point, the people are excited that they're going to be the hub of the Exuma Keys. Long Island is going to begin soon. We're going to be in all of these communities talking about the work we're doing. Great Harbor Key is completed, and thankfully we are going to use that model in some of the other islands across the Bahamas. We're doing public-private partnerships for some of these airports, and of course we are attracting foreign direct investments in building out hotels and marinas and other touristic infrastructure all across the island. And of course, the government of the Bahamas working actively on roads and docks and clinics and schools and ensuring that all of the pieces come together so that we truly deliver the experience of paradise that we promise in our marketing material.
Once again, Mr. Cooper, thank you so much
Always
for joining
my pleasure.
us
Anytime.
on What's Trending, and all the best in the future,
Thank you.
whether with SpaceX or with, of course, our #1 industry.
Thank you so much.
Well, stay with us. We will be right back after the break.